Hi, I'm Nicole. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a UX analysis of Apple Music. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I am new to YouTube, so all of the likes and everything really matters. I'd like to know a bit more about how UX design is used to coerce you, or what the apps and software that we use is doing to kind of keep you on their site. Then I'll put a link to the analysis I've already done of Spotify if you'd like to see that. I have a master's in UX design and I'm also a musician. I had a free trial period with Apple Music, so I gave it a shot. I've been using Apple Music for about 3 months and I was really hopeful. I had a little bit of nostalgia when I got into it. Yes, it kind of reminded me of when I was using iPods, the days where I used to buy tracks, like buy MP3s off of Apple Music. They're all still in there. So when I finally logged into Apple Music for the first time in many years, I had a little bit of nostalgia. It was quite exciting and I was hopeful that I was going to like it, but the reality is that I don't really like it. I'm not going to be keeping it, so I'm going to be switching to a different service after this. I think it's probably good if I experiment with a few different services just to see what those options are like. There's no reason I need to make a decision just yet. So as I'm looking at the homepage, this is mostly where I interact with stuff. It's similar to Spotify in a lot of ways because all of the apps, they kind of mimic each other a little bit. One has a winning formula, so they all want to do that. But I haven't actually been using Apple Music that long. When I did my analysis of Spotify, it was a little bit more creepy. I guess you could say, just because it had more years of information on me. And I did move my playlist from Spotify into Apple Music, so it would have had all of my music, but it wouldn't have had the data on my interactions. Like, for example, it sort of knew that I was listening to music at work, and it was kind of suggesting a playlist that was relevant for focusing at work. With Apple Music, I've only been on it for 3 months, so it doesn't have all that data on me. My listening preferences change according to projects in my life, because I'm a musician. When I'm focused on creating an album, which I am right now, then that actually causes me to do more of a research listening. It is a lot different than Spotify. They don't have as intuitive of an interface. I'm definitely not a fan of it. I like that when you open up Spotify, the screen is the song. In Apple Music, it doesn't make the song the feature, it makes the interface the feature. So this ability to scroll around and choose something different, it's like it's optimizing the ability for you to opt out of more music. So whereas Spotify, which just cares that you stay sort of on their path moving forward through the songs they recommend, which is interesting because keeping you on the song focus is actually more like playing a record, and it plays, you don't really skip around. Whereas with Apple Music, the interface more visible than the individual song. It's almost as if that song isn't the important part. The important part is your ability to choose, is kind of what that feels like a little bit. So this actually gives it more of like a library focus, which is something that Spotify didn't have. They didn't have a very good library. They just had a way to get you listening. This has ways to get you listening. It's just that it's not trying to kind of coerce you into listening. It's as if it's saying, here are your options. This is what you like to listen to. I know this is what you like to listen to. Have at it. And if you want to change your mind and listen to something else, you can easily move on to something else. New releases, that's more artist focused. None of those artists are people I listen to, which is also something I felt that was going on with Apple Music. It didn't really seem to know what I like. I uploaded all of my playlists in there and it didn't really seem to learn as much. With Spotify, it was like almost knew too much about me to the point where it was like, we know you like PJ Harvey and we're just gonna try and push that on you until you listen to something. Whereas this is almost like, we're missing what you like. We noticed that you've recently listened to A$AP Rocky, so we're going to recommend a lot of stuff like that. They don't seem to be learning from my playlists, because yeah, I've listened to a lot of hip hop lately. Not very hip hop dominant. Like, I listen to a lot of rock mostly. So Apple Music has a lot of options on the sides for browsing. I can easily access all of my playlists, which is really cool because I do tend to mostly listen to my playlists. I put something in a playlist. I know what that playlist's vibe is. I go to that playlist. Going to albums is a strange option for me. I don't listen to albums so much as I listen to artists, but they would have done some user research to have understood that that might be something someone wants. Having the albums feature is a lot more like working with vinyl as well. It's like these streaming services are doing things that you would do with vinyl, but they're not doing all the things. I would say that it's probably optimizing whatever sells stuff for them. Whatever it shows that their users want is going to generate more revenue for them. For Apple Music, they've identified that people want to be able to get out of a song and just kind of browse around and click around. Then having the interface as the main visible part of their screen makes more sense. Whereas with Spotify, maybe they've identified that people will get sucked in and just stick on a route that they're given and just skip through if they don't want to hear a song. They don't need to be replicating record players and old analog styles of listening to music, but I think that there's some value in acknowledging that those were important ways to listen. Listening to records is a positive way to experience music and is communal and can be solitary and is all those things, and it's not kind of grabbing at your attention in kind of a dark UX kind of a way. A goalpost to be more like physical media could be beneficial. So I know I'm on the songs because it's a list view, whereas albums, it was more like a tile view. Artists is an entirely different thing as well, which I do like this format because then you can click on someone, see their multiple albums. But strangely, why does Arca only have one album? Is this stuff I own? This is a streaming service, so this is filed under library. So this is stuff that belonged to that artist in the library. But that's slightly annoying because what if I want to explore? Like, I actually hadn't noticed that. So where are the explorations made for you? Like, how am I supposed to explore everything? I am actually not listening to quite a lot of this music. Favorite songs, I wonder how they determine that. I do like every single one of those artists, but I doubt I've been listening to Head Like a Hole. I love Nine Inch Nails, but that's not a song that I listen to. So I have been listening to Man Size a little bit, but I thought I was listening to it on YouTube. I do listen to Chelsea Wolfe, but like, why that? I don't know how they're coming up with this info is essentially what I'm trying to say. It seems unlikely that this is true, so I don't know what they're gathering this info from. Tricky fans like. I definitely love trip hop, so that's not a surprise, but how does it know I like Tricky? This year, before I got the Apple Music streaming service, I got a whole bunch of Tricky albums on vinyl, so I've not really been listening to him through my streaming services, and it's kind of strange because like I've gotten a whole bunch of Tricky on vinyl and a whole bunch of Nine Inch Nails on vinyl before I started using Apple Music. So I'm not really sure where it's gathering its information or how it knows this stuff. Seems like an odd mix to me. I can tell it doesn't know who I am yet. I've been listening to a lot of hip hop, so this is Childish Gambino fans like, so I'm definitely being targeted for my recent listening. JPEG Mafia. I listen to a lot of JPEG Mafia. Inspired by D'Angelo. I don't think I've listened to D'Angelo in like 20 years or something. He did die kind of recently, didn't he? An absolutely giant updated playlist. Why is that so big compared to everything else? It does seem to be thinking more like recent listens rather than going back through the stuff I've uploaded. I've essentially given them data and they've not really absorbed it. It's interesting, the Nirvana. I almost never listen to Nirvana, and it's not that I don't like Nirvana. It's just like it's everywhere, and so I don't need to sit down and listen to it. So that's kind of weird. I do have them on vinyl. It's kind of funny they've got so much of the stuff I've got on vinyl in there on display, because Lord knows I've not updated my Discogs. Find your mood. So Spotify used a lot of stuff that was similar to this find your mood. There's a lot of assumptions going on with what Spotify was saying to me, whereas I guess here it's saying, hey, we don't know what your mood is. What is it? I'd like to look at this love mood. These are obviously just playlists. I was just trying to see if there was a little trick, something like AI or something. I know that Spotify did have a little AI game, which encouraged you to engage with it to listen to new music, which is kind of funny because, like, who needs to be encouraged to listen to music? I don't know who they are. Turkish Electronic. That made me laugh because someone was talking to me about Turkish Electronic, but again, that was like before I started streaming because that person lives overseas now. So that is really random. It makes me question how come so much of the stuff that's being recommended to me is stuff I'm engaging with in like a different way. and it makes me wonder where their algorithm is getting the info. I'd have to do more research. These are all just assumptions at this point. But I will say that I don't like their interface, that it kind of minimizes the song. On the desktop version, I like that. On my phone, it's terrible. I want to be able to be walking somewhere, quickly click on something, heart it, put it in a playlist. I feel like I have to focus a little bit more, you know, because there'll be like 10 songs visible. The one at the top is the one. I have to kind of get used to it, and I'm not used to it and I don't like it. So, but also I think that something I don't like is that how am I going to explore all of the songs that people I like have out? I must have saved this song the other day. That's why that's there. I know that Arca has a lot more songs than this. I know for a fact that Chelsea Wolfe has a lot more music than this. These are obviously ones I've put in playlists. Why is that not a feature? To have a little toggle or something. Playlist, other music, you know, like why do I have to click into that artist? Yes, I have to click into that artist, but it just like took me a solid few minutes to think, oh, maybe I should click into that artist. And that's the thing, like people aren't thinking, they just want it to be visible. And as an artist, I would really like it if I didn't have to explain to someone that, yeah, they can listen to my back catalog, not just the album that they've saved. So it does appear to me that maybe Apple Music might be a little bit more playlist focused. The songs that you've already collected, but how do you collect them if you're not exploring? And then whereas Spotify does seem to be more about exploring. I did notice that Apple Music wasn't very good at recommending music to me, not compared to Spotify. I don't know if it's just that it's not reading the music I've uploaded to it, if it's not identifying it as music I like. I don't know what their setup is, but it does feel like it's not learning from the info I've given it. I've essentially given it data and it hasn't learned. So when I get to the end of a playlist in Spotify, it will recommend something I like and we'll just keep going. And I'll sometimes think, wow, this is really good. Did I already have this song on my playlist? And no, I didn't. It's just, it really knows me. Whereas with Apple Music, it doesn't seem to have that ability. I'll be able to tell I'm at the end of my playlist because I'll be listening to Childish Gambino as an example. And then suddenly like Nirvana will come up or something. And it's like, where did Nirvana come from? Doesn't make sense. It's not like a good flow for a playlist. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to be keeping Apple Music. I'm going to be moving on from it and trying a different option, see what happens. But always good to get out of Spotify's grip. Leaving Spotify and choosing where I go, hopefully it inspires some of the other streaming services to, you know, up their game a little bit. Thanks for joining me, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. Don't forget you can watch the Spotify video that is up now. Goodbye.